This video is meant to be a first in a however many part series about how conservatives and free thinkers can begin to win the culture wars. I think this is very important, and while it may be about video games, don't skip over it just because you may think they're stupid. If you think that, please watch ahead. It is far more important than just playing a video game on the couch. Thank you for watching, and I'll get right to it. Gaming and entertainment are one of the most influential and important aspects of our modern culture. Whether you like that or not, the impact has had on our modern life cannot be overstated. Those that understand this can steer our cultural ship towards values they would believe are important, while those that do not are left stranded, angry at the direction their society was headed. It has been said that culture drives politics. I would argue gaming and entertainment drive our culture. In turn, they drive our politics. Gaming has a massive influence on Western culture, but many conservatives and traditional thinkers brush it off as immature and unimportant, failing to recognize the power it has to shape our society and affect the greater cultural war. Video games are a unique form of entertainment and art. They can be enjoyed as a visual spectacle, like a movie, while having the space and time to tell a deep and complex story, like a book. However, what makes them truly unique is the ability to experience and affect the story with user inputs and immerse the player inside of the world that the players themselves can shape. It is no wonder why they have the power to grab our attention in deep and meaningful ways, or why people can get so enamored with them. Video games can be amazing. They can be meaningful experiences. Video games can even influence the cultural war we face in our society, with far-reaching effects in multiple industries, something I'm going to go deep in this video. But they can also be addictive, distracting, and cause people, especially children, to struggle with social development. This has led to those who have traditional values or who are hesitant with progress and change to view video games as destructive and worthless, a child's distraction from the quote-unquote real world.
Sarah! Baby! Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on.
Before I continue, I must make sure you understand the people I'm talking about here. The word conservative has recently been tarred and feathered in media and entertainment. It has become a swear word, or a call to more extremist thoughts and movements. Conservative is often used as a synonym for racist, misogynist, sexist, or really any other derogatory descriptor used to discredit a person and what they say before they even say it. The truth is, political thought is genetic, meaning humans are born naturally with them, and is a core part of being human. We need to understand this if we ever want to move past this great divide we are experiencing in our culture. Being conservative is in the name, conserving. They want to conserve their values, traditions, beliefs, family, way of life. This hardly makes them a bad human being. On the contrary, they often fight to preserve what is good and meaningful. Conservatives also tend to be skeptical of change, especially rapid change, and they are innately hesitant to hand over control or power of their lives to someone else. This makes them very skeptical of authorities. They tend to value responsibility, hard work, family, religion, and freedom, far different from what you would hear from anything mainstream. To this day, it has largely been the conservative people on the front lines of the culture war, fighting such things as cancel culture, the woke mob, indoctrination, government overreach, tech oligarchies, and social media censorship.
The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Albeit, they are doing an extremely poor job of it, and in my opinion, it is because of their hesitancy to embrace aspects of change and progress, and failing to recognize phenomena such as movies, entertainment, music, and gaming. Being skeptical by nature and resistant to latest trends, they brush these things off as childish ventures that have no real-world value. Conservatives are not understood by the greater culture, and I would plead to them, do not make the same mistakes towards gaming and gamers. So now let me try to access my inner lawyer and lay out some solid arguments as to why we all need to take this culture and industry seriously. In 2020, the gaming industry was valued at around $173 billion in the United States. To put that into perspective, this is more than sports, movies, and porn combined. If you would ask any conservative what their view on porn is, they will have very strong opinions on it. They will believe that it is dangerous and detrimental to our society, and it should either be banned or limited outright. Given that the porn industry is approximately 1/8 the size of the gaming industry, I would then ask them why they would not give the same kind of weight to gaming. The bottom line is gaming is a hammer that one can use to influence our culture and values, a hammer that's about $300 billion large. With something that has such large monetary power behind it, it only makes sense that it would be used to influence the minds of those who would consume it. When gaming was a fringe hobby without the intention of mainstream media or politics, the games were made by those with creative passion. The developers would make games based on their own ideas, values, and art. Many of these games today are regarded as the classics. They are timeless, perfect in the eyes of gamers, not because they did not have flaws, but because they were made with love. Many of the games had traditional values and were aimed primarily at men. Epic battles, sprawling worlds, saving the princess, complex plots, and thrilling villains. Today, this is not the case. With mass appeal and attention, large corporations have seized much of the gaming space. They push predatory monetization practices into games and prey on those who are young or addicted with complex algorithms and gambling mechanics using real-world money. If that wasn't bad enough, they also push modern politics and force the values and beliefs of the approved political narrative into these games. They have control over the media and journalists who report on games and who often attack fans when they get upset that their beloved medium of entertainment is being corrupted. Take the recent Star Wars controversy as a perfect example. Disney announces they are making a new Star Wars trilogy, and die-hard fans cried tears of joy. The new trilogy comes out, and it does not take long for the creators to have killed off all the beloved characters, as well as destroyed decades-long deep lore and goodwill. When the fan backlash hits, the corporations send out media drones after the fans, calling them racist and sexist for not enjoying the bastardization of their beloved sci-fi franchise. Just like Star Wars or any number of beloved franchises or entertainment mediums, progressive corporations have seized this $300 billion industry and use it to push their extreme ideologies onto the culture and young minds. Gaming culture was the canary in the coal mine for our current culture wars, and nothing proves this better than Gamergate. Now, Gamergate is a topic that could use a few hours to dissect and explain all the nuances in history. For our purposes, I must discuss it because it is directly associated with what is going on today and a perfect example as to why more respect should be given to gamers and gaming culture. Possibly in a future video, I will go through all the nuances and the dynamics of Gamergate. For now, I don't have the time. If you care at all about where our culture and society are headed, then Gamergate is something you should be aware of. I will try to unpack this and be as brief as possible while giving it the attention it requires. Gamergate was the term used to describe a worldwide phenomenon that began in 2014. There are two sides to what caused it and what happened during Gamergate, and both sides do not get into the nuance of the truth. In an excellent article by Kathy Young, she sums up the media narrative very well, stating that a feminist icon named Zoe Quinn was ruthlessly attacked by gamer nerds, led by her ex, who then began to attack other female journalists and gamers with death threats and hatred, which led to the rise in the alt-right, white supremacy, and Donald Trump. I told you gaming was connected to our culture war at large. After this, other feminist icons such as Anita Sarkeesian and Brianna Wu came out in a large, well-funded campaign to paint games as sexist and racist because gamers were male, sexist, and racist. These women gained media appeal, and soon enough, the entire games journalism machine was issuing article after article about how gamers were right-wing extremists and every is you can think of. Sounds awfully like modern media. When anything goes against the approved media and political narrative, one is immediately shut down, censored, and shamed. This led to the worldwide hashtag Gamergate. There are many issues with this narrative, of course. For one, Zoe Quinn's ex, Eron Nohi, hope that was pronounced properly, was a progressive social justice warrior who accused Zoe, on a far-left social justice website called Something Awful, of infidelity and poor ethical behavior with journalism, implying she used sex to get scoops. This came with screenshot proof of various conversations which was leaked onto 4chan, a troll website, where it then was spread all over the internet. Hardly a far-right extremist movement set up to hate on women. This led many gamers to feel their journalists who covered these games were not acting ethically. Gas was poured on the fire once the entire games journalist establishment immediately got on the leftist bandwagon and began to attack the very people they purport to represent, gamers. The other large issues with the media narrative were that gamers were alt-right extremists, who hated women and wanted them out of gaming. This was completely debunked by a man named Ethan Klein, with the help of freelance journalist Brad Glasgow, a survey was done which concluded that most Gamergate gamers voted for Obama in 2012 and held very liberal beliefs. On top of that, none of the more extreme harassment or threats were tied to anyone in Gamergate, which was proven by the FBI in these documents, which I will include in the notes. Tying all of this together with my main point, Gamergate was the front lines of the current culture war we see today. Gamers were the first movement to highlight the extreme bias of media, the corruption inside of it, and win the fight. The gaming medium was the battleground for this due to its mass appeal and rising influence in our society. The gamers won the fight of Gamergate culturally, but are losing to corporate influence inside of video games. Conservatives or freedom-oriented people need to pay attention to what is happening in the gaming industry. Politics has completely corrupted most of the largest games out there. In a game called Call of Duty World War II, a billion-dollar franchise, the company decided to censor out swastikas from a World War II game, as well as add in black Nazi female soldiers in order to be inclusive. Then they went on to market it as heavily historically accurate, grounded, a boots-on-the-ground type video game. In another franchise called Battlefield, the game Battlefield 5 was similarly marketed as a grounded historical video game about World War II. The trailer was featured along with a female frontline soldier with a bionic arm and colored hair. As if that's not bad enough, a specific mission inside of the game saw the player control a teen girl who infiltrates German bases and destroys German hard water, something that did happen historically and that a group of men had done. She is depicted as a force of war, wielding gigantic machine guns while mowing down hundreds of soldiers, which spits in the face of real women who were vital to the war efforts. The idea being, if you can't handle a gun like a man and kill like a man, you aren't as valuable. One may think that this is just a video game, but many young men and women who know nothing of history are being told this is a historically accurate video game, and they often get their history and education from these video games. This disrespects fallen soldiers, history, and real women in these wars who held an extremely key role in defeating the Nazi regime. These are just two examples of a growing and widespread trend in gaming and in the industry. An industry that I must remind you is larger and more influential than sports, movies, and porn. If you have made it this far, I want to thank you and implore you to think about what I have said and shown you. If our current culture and societal direction concerns you in any way, you must heed these lessons and principles. The culture war we are in will shape our entire future, and we can decide to retreat, isolate, and try to weather out the storm, or we can engage with the world, be in the world, not of the world, as the Apostle Paul teaches. We can recognize that progress, when restrained by common sense and logic, is good. It may make you uncomfortable that entertainment has such an impact on our lives, but humans are social creatures. Even Jesus Christ himself primarily used stories called parables to inform us of deeper teaching. Story, fantasy, fun, and entertainment are a vital component of humanity, and in modern times, gaming is simply another extension of that. One that we can use to influence people to see the value of tradition and how to live a good, ethical life.